Kia ora, Aotearoa. I'm Met Service meteorologist Andrew James here with a look at your weather for the weekend and the early part of next week. With a ridge of high pressure over New Zealand, we do see generally settled weather over the course of Friday. There are a few showers in the north there and down south here, but looking like a largely settled day. However, all eyes are really on the tropics at the moment, where Tropical Cyclone Gabrielle in the Coral Sea is set to start to make its journey towards the upper part of Aotearoa over the coming days. So we have these computer models here, these yellow tracks, they're all quite close together, indicating high confidence of the path of this system. And note that the system is really broad, really large area there, covering more than the size of the North Island, with rain there, with wind, very strong wind, and also some large swells as well. More on that later in the show. So this system starts to make its way, its effects start to be felt late on Saturday and into Sunday morning there, as it moves over the upper part of the North Island. But we can see as it gets closer to New Zealand, there is a bit more uncertainty with the exact path. And while all these paths would bring severe weather to Aotearoa, the exact impacts do depend on which track the system does take and where it does track. So do stay up to date with the latest information wherever you are, and make sure you do stay prepared as well there. So looking at the system, some information, more information about that. You know, it's a large system. It's expected to bring a broad area of severe weather for the North Island and parts of the South Island too later in the week. There's strong winds, there's heavy rain, and there's large swells too. The location of the largest impacts though depends on the exact track. So although there is a large area expected to be affected, the highest impacts there are still a little uncertain, so make sure you do stay up to date with the latest forecasts. The good news though, we do have settled weather for now with a ridge of high pressure over the country, so it's a good chance to get prepared. So make sure you do prepare. Head to getready.gov.nz for information on that. Now, with this system making its way over towards our country, we do have some watches in place for heavy rain. So that's for Auckland, for Northland, for the Coromandel Peninsula, and also for the eastern part of the North Island. That's Gisborne and Napier, Hawke's Bay there in the eastern part of the North Island there for rain, and in the upper part of the North Island for Auckland, Coromandel Peninsula, and Northland there for wind, for strong wind in the early part of next week. So do stay up to date with all the latest information on that at metservice.com. It is likely that more areas will be added, and it's likely that many of these areas could be upgraded to an orange or red warning in the next couple of days. But for now, Saturday does see a ridge of high pressure driving a bit of an easterly over the upper part of the North Island. The South Island is really dominated by daytime heating, but up north here, Tropical Cyclone Gabrielle starts to bring a bit of wet weather to the upper part of Northland later in Saturday, and increases the winds over the more southern parts of like Auckland and Coromandel Peninsula as the day goes on. So we're looking like partly cloudy conditions to kick the day off, a few showers in the eastern part of the upper North Island there, and then into the afternoon as that system gets closer, wind increases, cloud increases, and then later in the day, towards the end of the day, that rain gets going in the upper part of the North Island there late there on Saturday. The southern North Island, a bit of a different story there, with mainly fine conditions, a bit of cloud around, but then high cloud increasing. So it's going to be a fairly nice day in the capital there, with just a bit of high cloud around, that high cloud coming in later in the afternoon there. In the top of the South Island, mainly fine with a bit of cloud around in the afternoon there, as some daytime heating does build a few showers. Those will mostly be inland about the ranges, with most main centres staying dry through the day. The southern part of the South Island, this trough here brings a few showers and a bit of cloud to the likes of Timaru and Oamaru, but farther south is looking sunny, and again a few afternoon showers, but those will be away from where most people are living. Then looking ahead to Sunday, Tropical Cyclone Gabrielle makes her way farther south. That rain spreads farther south over the upper North Island, with some pretty strong winds expected as well, and some large swells too. So taking a look at those swells, we do see them increasing as the day goes on, and this swell event lasts right through the early part of next week, so do stay up to date with all your latest information about that. The weather though, wet weather spreads south over the North Island, and by the end of the day, that wet weather reaching quite far south as the tropical cyclone moves its way closer to New Zealand there. And then for the southern island there, looking like a generally fine day, a bit of afternoon convection inland brings a few showers there, but not too bad conditions over the south. And then on Monday, the system moves farther south, as does the rain, and really all of the North Island is in for a bit of wet weather with the system, but at the moment, those areas which are under watch in the east and north are the ones that we are really keeping an eye on there. That's it from me, but you can get all your latest weather information at metservice.com.